This is the Truth Frequency Radio Network. We are TFR. Truth Frequency Radio.
Storms crowding morphing skies. A clamor of planes appear, spitting smoke in chemical haze, crisscrossing in labyrinth of toxic stream. Natural clouds do not stage right-angle formation of tic-tac-toe pattern. Those denying the vile intention of such campaign cannot explain away the obvious ejection of vapor trail. Innumerable flights, an army of pilots and crew originate from somewhere obviously complicit in scheme. Non-dissipation, confirmation that such occurrence takes place. As to the reason why, the claim is geoengineering, stratospheric aerosol injection, but nobody knows with certainty. Misting, poison, rain-drenched people covered in unfamiliar disease, a globally clandestine policy of sanctioned depopulation, approved long ago by myriad governments worldwide for undisclosed agenda. The cost to taxpayers has to have been trillions to this point, yet they have succeeded deflecting inquiry, cloaking covert program in disinformation. Welcome, friends. I'm your host, Zen Garcia. This is Secrets Revealed here on Truth Frequency Radio. I have as co-host with me this evening, Laurel Austin. Laurel, are you there, sister?
I'm here. Hello, everyone, and powerful poem there, Zen.
Thank you. That was written a couple years back, but it's perfect for the topic this evening. We have a special guest, Matt Landman, the creator of Franken Skies. Matt, are you there?
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
It's our pleasure, and thanks for taking the time to join us this evening. If you would, can you give out your contact information where people can go to find and support your work, and also as to where you are going to be bringing forth the film so that people can catch it if they can?
Of course, and thanks again for the lovely chemtrail poetry at the beginning. It was really amazing. I just launched a website, actualactivists.com. So I've got a lot of information on there. And then I'm on YouTube under my name, Matt Landman, Landman, and then also on Facebook, same thing. Twitter, same thing. And to see the film, you can see it on YouTube right now, and I'll be taking it on tour. So far I've screened it in Utah and in Oregon and up here in Vancouver, BC, where I live. But I'll be taking it. The goal is to screen it at a film festival. There's one in LA this August and in New York City as well. And I hope to be bouncing around city to city, getting the word out. I have a GoFundMe as well. It's gofundme.com/frankenskies, where you can order a DVD, and it comes with this original Mir 1 artwork that was made just for the film that's never been seen before. It's a really amazing piece that he did to donate for the cause. Mir 1 is a famous artist, and he usually does murals. And yeah, I look forward to hopefully meeting everybody and getting the word out. I really want to do the East Coast. I've been living on the West Coast for the past decade, really, and my goal is to really target the Northeast. And even I was talking to Laurel about making it over to Atlanta even in the fall. But yeah, I really want to. The East Coast really needs to see the film.
Yeah, I think everybody will benefit from seeing this, and this is also one of those topics which, even though there has been some coverage of it, it has been largely overlooked in the conspiratorial world. And it's one of those that, it's the elephant in the room that nobody is speaking about, talking about, or even mentioning. And yet it is detrimentally affecting not only the weather patterns, like here in Atlanta last year, we set all kind of records, even went over a month and a half with no rain at all. And every time there was to be some kind of a storm, the gathering of the clouds, there would be all these planes just streaming trail, as I described in the poem, and then the storms would not stick. And so last year they really did a number on the areas surrounding here. And I know that the West Coast is going through a lot of drought as well in California, Arizona, and that area. My cousin who lives in San Francisco said that there was 115-degree weather there, and something that they're completely not used to. But if you would, can you talk about Franken skies, how long it took you, the object of the, of the film, the documentary, and what inspired you to compile it?
Wow. So yeah, it was drought that got me going on the chemtrails myself. Whenever I give these conferences and presentations alike, I try to convey the message to people, because like you said, a lot of people will talk about just about anything, but they won't touch this one. You know, you've got a lot of celebrities, a lot of voices. They'll talk about GMO very adamantly. They'll talk about even vaccines, but this one they just won't touch because there's a lot of cognitive dissonance there, and our mental framework on the topic has been literally conditioned and framed. We've been programmed, and the word chemtrails is just a dirty word at this point. So we got to really start the conversation, bring some transparency to it. So for me, my story is I grew up in Northern Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C., and I went through the public education system. I went to Virginia Tech, got a degree in business, and ended up working in finance and real estate. And I moved out to California wanting to pursue a film degree. And it wasn't until I lived in Northern California, north of San Francisco, where your buddy's at, and anything over 100 in the Bay Area, that's just very out of the norm. Mm-hmm. I worked in finance, and I got my master's in business. I got an MBA, and I worked on my film degree as well. And afterwards, I worked as a finance analyst, and then finally, I just wanted to get grounded, and I started working on a farm. I was growing squash and potatoes, and come the fall, when we were supposed to get our seasonal storm, in the Pacific Northwest, we get our seasonal deluge for about 3-4 months, from around November 1st to around March, April. We just get constant rain. The ecosystem is just used to it. There's ancient couple thousand-year-old redwood trees that are just used to this seasonal deluge, and we are in the midst of a pretty catastrophic drought, but not quite there. And I'm working on this farm, and we have a large storm coming in, just like what you said you witnessed is in Atlanta. You'd see the moisture coming in, but then the persistent linear cirrus cloud formations, the jets would just show up and alter those weather patterns. Well, what I witnessed was we had a big storm coming, and it was 100% chance of rain for the next week. And I was out harvesting pumpkins because we were worried about the rot in the field, because it was an early storm. It was mid-October. This was about 4 years ago now. And whereas we got very sparse air traffic on this specific occasion, a dozen planes, plus dozens of planes even, showed up, and they gridded the sky preceding this storm, and the storm came. It didn't drop any rain. And I kind of tabled that as just an occurrence, and I didn't think much of it. But then I saw it, I witnessed it again, and I did some research, and come to find out you can dissipate storms with aluminum oxides. And you can also make it rain if you put silver up there. So just releasing certain chemical components into the atmosphere, you can pretty much alter the weather if you've got the means of doing so. So that's where I started. And I started asking around and asking people, hey, do you know about this? Have you ever heard about this? And no one knew about it at all. And I tried to get some traction in California, passing out flyers and putting on small presentations. And really it wasn't until I moved to Vancouver, Canada, where I met these 9/11 Truth guys, this older group of men, and I got the traction that I needed to start filming. This was just 2.5 years ago, and I started off filming the former premier of British Columbia. His name's Bill Vanderzam. I went to his estate, and I interviewed him, And it took me 2.5 years of getting people together and hosting conferences and meeting the right people and getting the footage to make Franken skies. And ultimately, my goal was just to get the conversation going, to bring to light that something was going on, and showing people that geoengineering, that chemtrails, solar radiation management, stratospheric aerosol injections, however you want to call it, whatever term you want to use, that it's going on. I thought that that's what the film was ultimately going to be about. But then over the past 6 to 10 months, we've had a plethora of information come out through the desensitization, normalization propaganda machine that has convinced us that we actually need aerosols dispersed from aircraft purposefully, different chemicals they're proposing. First, they proposed that we spray sulfuric acid. Then they tabled the idea of spraying diamonds and all these other ideas of chemicals to put up in the atmosphere to reflect back sunlight to save us from global warming. So now they're actually saying that this is something that needs to be done. And so now the film has evolved into not just a documentary exposing this ongoing aerosol campaign. It's actually bringing into light these current events and the media normalization of a campaign that's not only ongoing, but for research, they claim, but now they say that they're going to deploy, and that deployment is something we're going to see in the near future. So it's actually coming to light to not necessarily be like a conspiratorial piece. What I did with it is I took the historical stuff, and I started back in the 1930s, and I show the evolution of the weather modification program and how the U.S. military and industrial complex has evolved into not just controlling the weather, but deciding that they're in charge of dictating who gets sunlight on Earth, and then also the creation of earthquakes and all this other stuff. But I wrap it all up in an 80-minute piece, and it touches upon a lot of different stuff. Wilhelm Reich and Nikola Tesla are mentioned, and the control of weather warfare and Vietnam, and even modern day covert military action against Iran and what have you. So it goes across the entire spectrum, and I think it's definitely worth a watch for anybody.
Well, certainly. Laura, would you like to comment here?
Yeah, that's a power punched 80 minutes Matt has there. And what really just strikes me is not only once they know that they've been had, then they come back with this admittance and that they're doing it for our good. It's like, we're blocking out the sun for you. You're welcome. Here's the bill.
Right. Yeah, same thing that they do with the vaccines. You know, we're doing it for your benefit, to protect you from disease. And it's always the spin. You know, they always turn it so that it's for our benefit, and it's excuse. And that's long been the modus operandi, and it's, you know, worked because the public is largely ignorant and not being well versed on these issues. They will accept and buy into the propaganda and just go with it. Matt?
Yeah, they're kept confused. The public is kept kind of a few years behind schedule, kind of trying to figure out what's going on. And by the time they catch up with just the terminology, then they realize that we've actually signed off and consented to it through our silence.
Right. If you would, can you talk about the way that you lay it out and the way that, because I was really amazed at how much information you found and were able to compile in bringing forth this topic, which again is something that hasn't largely been covered, and especially in the manner that you were able to put forth in this film. And so if you would kind of walk people through it and the information that is contained and why it is you believe this needs to be known by everybody, well, especially because it's affecting us all directly.
Well, happily. And you're right. It's affecting each and every one of us, even if we're not willing to admit it. I mean, we all need sunshine and water to exist, and it's the air that we breathe, and it's the next generation especially. I don't care if you don't have children. You can't just pass the buck to your friends' children and expect them to take care of it because they won't have the opportunity that we have. So the thing about the film that needed to exist, and I'm so honored to have taken on the task, is that when I do this grassroots activism, I do it a lot. I'm out in different cities passing out flyers, and now I'm passing out DVDs, and it's not easy. Okay, you're bumping up against trillions of dollars worth of media normalization and conditioning. You're butting up against a cognitive dissonance that has been programmed since preschool. And people, if they're going to change their mental construct, okay, if they're going to really change the way that they think about something, and they can and they will, but the first thing that they want to hear and know is the who, the what, the why, the where, and the when. Mm-hmm. And I know, and this is hard, right? Because I'm just a guy with a flyer. You know, I'm not just a guy with a flyer, but I'm just passing a person on the street trying to spread some really critical information, you know, that they need to know. And in passing, they want the who, what, why, where, and when, or they won't even give you the time of day. Mm-hmm. So, you know, wrapping that into 80 minutes was the task. It was the struggle that I was facing. And, you know, I try to do exactly that. So they want to know the who, you know, because that's the first thing. They're like, oh, who, they're doing that to us. Oh, yeah, okay, get your, you know, tinfoil hat and all that. But the who it's the Royal Society. It's which is just a covert group of treasonous characters, a lot of them out of Harvard. And they're funded a lot by Mr. Bill Gates, private donations, not the Bill Gates Melinda Gates Foundation, but private donations public record from Bill Gates. And you've got really a handful of these solar geoengineer professors. And the main guy is David Keith. Okay, this guy is their front man. He's their puppet that's going around pitching to different people, including but not limited to the Colbert Report. He's on these shows on Comedy Central telling the public about their agenda, which is to outfit aircraft to spray certain concoctions in the atmosphere. And he uses these different terms like we're going to use the atmosphere as a laboratory, you know, and who should control the thermostat of Earth, right? And he's decided that basically he is the one that's going to control the thermostat on Earth. This guy, David Keith, he's a Harvard professor, this guy. And so the film really, people want a who. They really want to be able to point their finger at something and really they want a face, they want something tangible. And I gave them that because there is a who, you know? They want to know what. I tried my best to convey the what. They want to know why. Well, I tried my best to convey the why, you know? You've got the CIA director talking about the stratospheric aerosol injections. You've got Ahmadinejad, the president of Iran, disclosing that he's uncovered a covert plan by the U.S. military and what have you to create drought and weather war against Iran. We spell it out from the get-go. Even JFK and Lyndon B. Johnson in the earlier footage, they're saying that we need to control that the plan is to control the weather, and once you control the weather, you can control everything. So people also need to see the historical aspect of it, and it was really surreal for me when I recently premiered the film in Salem, Oregon. I had seen of course, I'd seen the film 100 times because I made the film, but not until I saw it on a screen did I realize how important that it was. And I even thought to myself, this film doesn't exist yet, right? Because it really, I figured it should have by now, and it seems like it should have, and it needed to, because the historical pieces all strung together in chronological order to spell out the timeline, the historical timeline of all of this is one of the most important things. Because when people are researching this, it's so beyond their conceivable thought process, the controlling of the weather. How come I've never heard about this, right? And then the ego gets in the way. That's one thing that the CIA, that the the powers that be, they really play on the human psyche. They really play on your ego, and they're really good at it. They really are. And we, as a collective, if we haven't even heard about these projects, and then all of a sudden there's trillions of dollars and hundreds, if not thousands, of planes with this elaborate ballet in the sky, mixing different concoctions with covert aircraft and all of this to manipulate the ionosphere, to test biological agents on civilian populations, all of these things, when faced with a scenario so large, it is very, very easy to just shut the door and say, whoa, that's way too much information. There's no way that they could be doing that to us, you know, and that they're referring to the governments and what have you. And I've heard that a lot. So to map it out from the 1930s and to show all of the different military projects that were documented, and to show that they tested biological agents on civilian populations in St. Louis, biological agents on civilian populations in Vietnam, and even mastered controlling the weather 60 years ago through the release of aerosols via jets. That was an important thing for people to really see the timeline, the chronology of it, to have them have the baby step walk through it all. Because if you jump right into modern day, it's a daunting task for any person to just jump there with their brain, if that makes any sense. So, So where are we? Who, what, why, where, when? Well, when is now. Why is there a bunch of greedy psychopaths and they claim that we need to block the sun, right? But it's all part of this agenda for full spectrum dominance. If the powers that be can control even our carbon emissions, you know, the carbon tax and all of this is all connected. The global warming hoax, it's all connected. And we touch upon even the global warming hoax. And I know that when this information is new to people, and you've created this blueprint in your brain of this guilt trip that every time you get in your SUV, you're killing a polar bear, it's really tough to take a step back and see the forest through the trees and see this massive conspiracy that involves everybody on Earth, and that points the finger at yourself for your carbon emissions when they're using ionospheric heating technologies to superheat a conductive nanoparticulate metallicized atmosphere. I mean, it's important that we see the truth and know the truth. And did I answer your question? I'm sorry, I kind of got off on a tangent.
Oh, no, it's fine. And I want to also get you to address, we're about 4 minutes before the first break, but how far back it goes. And also when we return from break, how HARP ties into all of it and the other different programs that are components of this grand conspiracy.
Yeah, I'd love to talk about HARP. I'm really happy that I've been able to learn about ionospheric heating technology because it plays such a pivotal role in the steering of the jet stream and the ionosphere. So for me, when I give these presentations, I think it's really important to just start with the very beginning. Yeah, how far back does it go? Well, it goes back really far, right? And for just the purpose of presenting, I start with 1916. There was a scientist by the name of Hatfield. And you can Wikipedia this, right? It's really easy information, but a lot of this is kind of kept out of the history books for a reason, right? Especially the name Nikola Tesla, who's behind the brain power that goes into the HARP technology and whatnot. But 1916, San Diego, Southern California, was experiencing a drought, okay? Desert oasis down there. You know, they don't get a lot of rain. And the city of San Diego hired Professor Hatfield because Mr. Hatfield said that he thought he could make it rain. He built a tower in 1916. He climbed up on this tower, a handful of stories up in the air, and he sprayed a chemical concoction, primarily silver, okay? And when you put silver in the atmosphere, the water couples to it. It's a hydroscopic molecule. The water that's already up there in the atmosphere will go to the silver and get heavy, and it'll make it rain. Okay, and he learned that his concoction, primarily silver iodide, I believe, that you can make it rain with a very, very, very small amount. And he actually busted the dams and was sued and blamed for 3 days of flooding just by getting up in a tower and spraying a little bit of chemicals that he hypothesized could make it rain. And shortly thereafter, they learned that they can make it not rain by spraying aluminum. It's the exact opposite of the silver. The aluminum oxides, the aerosolized aluminum, you spray it in the atmosphere, and the moisture will get pulled apart because the aluminum dissipates. Okay, so silver will come together to form clouds and make them rain. Aluminum will do the opposite. So all the way back in 1916, there were already intentions of controlling the weather, and it just slowly developed from there. And you see how the military gets involved with things. They'll snatch it up, take the technology, and then prevent the media from telling us what they're really doing.
Right. All right, we'll be right back, everyone. I was just telling the listening audience, as far as this particular issue, how even in the conspiratorial world, that a lot of people have a hard time accepting it as reality. And so can you talk about the acceptance and the feedback that you have received since bringing forth this documentary and releasing it to the public?
Yeah, for sure. It is troubling to see the cognitive dissonance because some people are just not ready. That's the thing. A lot of people aren't ready for half of the truth that's out there. When I do the grassroots activism and I pass out flyers, I look every single person in the eyes, and based on what I see is based on how I approach them, right? And some people I approach and I say, hey, you know about chemtrails, right? And they're like, oh, how'd you know? I say, yeah, I made a movie with Franken guys, check it out, or I'll hand them a DVD, what have you. But a lot of people, they have been programmed to think that chemtrails is a dirty word, so you can't talk to them about chemtrails, okay? They have been programmed to think that solar geoengineering is a very good word, that the scientists are here to save us, and geoengineering is a good thing and something that we need. They don't know that geoengineering and chemtrails are synonyms, right? So approaching it in a very calm and collected manner and saying, have you seen the recent headlines that scientists claim that they're going to be blocking out the sun to stop global warming? And everybody with their pre-programmed, conditioned thought patterns, every single person, they look at me and they go, oh, block out the sun? You mean like the Matrix, right? And so all of a sudden we're talking about the Matrix and how this future AI blocked out the sun, and then it ended up not working, and the sun blocking actually ruined humanity, and now they're all stuck in this programmed reality, right? And it comes to be like this not so it's not that far off, really. So yeah, but also I've had amazing feedback from people that were on the fence. I think that everyone is ready for it in their own time. Okay, and that's one thing about all of these movements. Every single one of these movements is co-opted, and it's brought to our attention before we're ready for it as even a species, right? Like we're evolving, humanity's evolving, and some of these things we're just not ready for at all. Well, based on also our conditioning and our programming, but like you bump into these people that no matter what facts you show them on certain topics, they just can't go there because they're not ready for it on an energetic, on a frequency level. Like their frequency cannot resonate where truth in and of itself is a frequency. And I like to say you can't be half pregnant, right? You can't just be truth on one thing and then deny some other stuff. You have to embrace it all. And that's, what I'm trying to do. So earlier you asked about Morgellons. And if you can't talk to people about chemtrails, try talking to them about about something like that, biological attacks that are so advanced that people hypothesize that they're otherworldly. I mean, where once you start peeling back the onion or going down the rabbit hole with the chemtrails, it doesn't stop, you know? So everybody, so what I'm trying to say in my babble is,
All right, everyone. I hope you can hear me okay. Oh, we're loud and clear. Can you hear me, Matt?
Hey, Matt,
Yes.
you're right.
Hey, what's up, guys?
All right, everybody, we're back. This is episode 277 of Sheep Farm Podcast. And as you've guessed, with the imagery and the video that we just played there before, the 30-minute section of an interview from 2017, when Matt was of a younger age, let's say. All fresh and spriteful, not beat down like we all are now.
Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Yeah, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Virginal, nearly. As you can guess, we've got Matt Landman with us. And I hope everyone can hear us okay. If you let us know that you can hear us. Chris, is my background the right way around this time?
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's backwards to me.
I know, I don't. Yeah, you remember you went on about mine for ages. It's like, I can't work it
I
out.
need to get my eyeballs changed. Put us up here.
Is that writing behind me the right way around?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
How you doing, Matt? You all right?
Hey, guys. Yeah, I'm doing pretty great. Thank you for asking. How you doing over there?
Yeah,
all
all right.
good, man.
Yeah.
Plugging along?
Pretty mad
Navigating the
times.
shit-
We'll
navigating
talk
the
about.
shit show.
Yeah. Pretty mad times. Yeah. We will discuss some of them mad times, but first, Matt, where can people find you? Because I always forget.
Oh, thanks
Yeah.
so much. Yeah, so hi, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a piece of the furniture over at Dom's place. And
On the farm.
Yeah, please find me on Facebook, Matt Landman. I'm on other social media platforms too, but some of my bigger platforms got taken down. I've got Instagram at Waking Up with Matt, because I started this small podcast called Waking Up with Matt. And it used to be in the mornings. It was like a double entendre. We're going to wake up in the morning, then wake up to the world that's, victimizing us or whatever. Actualactivists.com is a great resource for a one-stop shop for truth, where all my activism lives. And I have a daily blog on there called The Daily Truth. Frankenskies.com is where my movie lives, Frankenskies, which if you haven't seen it, please take the time, bookmark the page, watch it in segments if you have to, watch the first 5-10 minutes, if you can, and then pick it apart if you don't have the time to sit down for the whole documentary. Also, I have a website, stopgeoengineeringlondon.co.uk, which is a great resource for the rally that happened last year, where I got to meet Christian in person, which was wonderful, and doing it again this year. Hopefully I'll be able to get on a plane and go if there's oil in the plane. Or petro or jet fuel or whatever that hoax is. Yeah. So this rally coming up is going to be wonderful, and I can't wait to be there. And I hope that everyone else can attend. The idea was to have annual summer solstice rallies, but the way the world's looking, now's your opportunity to come out and join us, because who knows what the future holds. Also, I have an EMF protection clothing line called Sparrow, Spero, which is Latin for hope. I've got sparrowgear.com and Sparrow in the UK as well. I have a London distributor, and that is Sparrow UK, sparrowgear.uk.com. Yeah, sparrowgear.co.uk. Sorry, I almost forgot that one. But check that out, please, as well. Silver-lined apparel and accessories to protect yourself from 5G and EMF radiation and all that sort of stuff. Frankenskies@gmail.com. Please contact me if you want to reach out. I respond. I reply to my emails and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of ways to get a hold of me. So just, reach out if you want to find me on your familiar platform. And I'm available, and I'm an activist. I'm here for the people. So send me questions. I answer questions all the time. You wouldn't believe the questions people send me, but I like to get personal and answer people's questions, and have helped a lot of people work through the issues in their world regarding their Wi-Fi router or the cameras on their street. There's flock cameras. And after the rally last year, I get emails all the time from all over England. These flock cameras getting put up to track people's every movement. People are really worried about these out in the country. Even they're putting these cameras up all over the UK. People are contacting me, and yeah, I could go on. But thank you for asking.
What are they called, Matt? Sorry, flock cameras.
We call them flock cameras in the States. Isn't that funny, actually? I didn't realize.
Yeah, I've just realized it.
Flock of animals,
Yeah. Flock of sheep.
It's like flock of sheep, yeah, exactly.
Flockers, yeah.
Right? In my community, they started putting them up, and the community came together and said, F that, and we removed them, which is great. But they also just sneak them in other ways. There's still cameras up everywhere, but those specific ones that track everyone's license plates, that are supposed to be like tracking drug dealers. Heaven forbid they track the child traffickers. That's just out of the question. But they're going to track us because we're breathing.
Have they faced recognition, those things?
They say they're just tracking license plates, but the biometrics are rearing their heads over here. I don't know if you guys saw that Mexico has a 6-month deadline to have every single phone have biometric identification in it. So everyone on the making a phone call, they know who the face is. But also they came out in the States and said that every new car has to have biometrics and a cutoff switch. So it's like, here we go. It's coming.
When do humans have a cutoff switch?
Right. Well, I have been looking a lot into like this transhumanism thing. And have you all heard this term milk drinkers?
Maybe. No. I might. It depends what angle you're going on. Go on.
It's a derogatory term that robots use to refer to mammals, like humans. Right, yeah, and it's like, oh, those gross milk drinkers. And it's like in Westworld and these different like dystopian futuristic films, but I'm seeing it come up more and more and more and more. And now we've got LGBTQ2IA+. And I remember I was on your show ages ago, and I used to say LGBTQ. I used to say LGBTQ RST VWXYZ as a joke, but now it's like literally the alphabet plus like letters and numbers, and I don't even know I don't even think they know what it means. Like the people that are saying it.
No.
Just change the name to bollocks, and then we'll all understand.
Right, everyone's bollocks. Mr. and Mrs. Bollocks. She, they, them, they. My friend was doing. I mean, I'm all over the place. Sorry, but this is all under the same umbrella of Agenda 2030.
Yeah, it's everything. Yeah.
My friend was getting like government assistance, and she had to fill out this form. Oh my gosh, guys! I don't know if you saw it. I posted it on Facebook. It said, "What's your pronoun?" And it had the longest list of things, and then it even said "other," and you could fill in your other. Like it was ZHE, Zay, Zo, Z, like all these random things. Yeah. But you could just fill in like I'm an anteater. Yeah. Respect my pronouns. Yeah. Mr. Anteater.
Respect my phallic nose.
Yeah. Respect me for being a twat. I'm a twat. Right. Yeah. Twat. Yeah.
Oh man. So while we're talking about funny British words, is this a thing? Bob's your uncle? Is that a thing over there with you? Okay. So I love going to England. It's some of the funnest things for me ever. Just even the people watching, just listening to how hilarious you all are. Like everything is a joke. Everything is hilarious. And I'm just like cracking up and just having a conversation with people. I talked to this bloke friend of mine about like, he's like, I can't right now. I'm just in my pants. And I'm like, that's great. Come on in your pants. I got my pants on too. We can all wear pants together. Like, what's the problem? And, and I later found out that pants mean underwear. I had no idea, right? Like for us, pants means trousers, which is a really fancy, nice, like proper British English word for my pants, trousers. But yeah, the whole Bob's your uncle. Would you guys mind using that in a sentence for me, please?
And there you go. Bob's your uncle. Yeah.
There you go. Bob's your uncle. That really explains it.
Matt's doing his summer solstice. Bob's your uncle.
Bob's your uncle.
Really, does it? It's just a load of shit, really.
All we need, Matt, is to get you talking. We're from an area in England called Yorkshire, and over in America you probably call it Yorkshire, but it's Yorkshire. Yorkshire. Yeah. And
near Manchester.
I don't know if you've noticed we miss a lot of words out when we're talking. Yeah. And we always if we're going, say we're going into the town centre, we will say we're going to town. We're going to town, right? So we're very hard to follow, but we need to get you speaking Yorkshire. I think that's
I tell you a funny thing though, Matt, about Americans, a difference between English and Americans. We've got cousins, and a cousin of ours was staying with me and my missus.
We've got cousins from America, as Chris is saying.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and we again, I got to fill in the blanks because you're from Yorkshire.
Yeah.
Have you seen Wallace and Gromit, Matt? You know,
a little bit. I can't understand.
Yeah, they're Yorkshire as well.
Pass me the cheese and crackers, Gromit. Yeah.
Anyway, our cousin was over, and he was staying with me and my missus, and we went to the Hilton, and they've got a nice area down here where you can sit on the river and have a. Anyway, my cousin, he liked cocktails, so we got a drink, and he got a cocktail. And we sat down, and I can't remember who it was. I think it was a Long Island iced tea. And he would always telling me how much he loves cocktails and he likes making them, etc. And he had one sip and he went, "There ain't a Long Island iced tea. I'm going to go and have a word with the barman." And we were like, "Well, what are you doing?" No, we're English. We don't do that. We just sit here and whinge about it. And he went off and spoke to the barman, and he ended up letting him go behind the bar and make his own cocktail. Yeah.
Amazing.
But we just would not do Chicago.
Chicago. Yeah, the Chicago.
We just wouldn't. We wouldn't dream. We wouldn't dream of doing that. No. And I took him to another pub, and he asked for these 2 cocktails for the price of one. And this big barman who's 6 foot odd, and he went, "You've got to get 2 of the same cocktails." And he was on the shot, and he stood up and he went, "Are you trying to intimidate me?" I was like, "Oh my god!"
I'm surprised he didn't pull a Glock out of his sock.
What are you doing? Stop bothering people. In the best way, though. In the best way. I kind of like. I like the directness as well. Even though it's very un-English.
Well, I'm on the West Coast, and people over here are very soft and passive. But I've got some Chicago friends, and Chicago is like gang violence, drive-bys, and they're very direct. Like they don't give a shite. They'll just like say it how it is. But people over here that won't even. Yeah, people where I live won't even make eye contact. And then you got these Chicago boys, like people being like in your face, like with the whole Chicago thing. It's funny. I love it actually. Chicago and New Yorkers are very unique, and they're like, we don't care. We don't care. Like we're very upfront and direct. And if you don't laugh at it, then go take a hike. You know. Yeah. Right. Yeah. There's something admirable about it. Bob's your uncle.
Yeah, Bob's your uncle.
You are leading me down the garden path. That's another one.
Yeah. Leading me. Yeah. Bob's your uncle. Funny. Yeah. I hope not.
So for those of us that are from the States, Bob's your uncle means it's as simple as that, and there you have it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
of course.
It's got no relevance whatsoever, has it?
Not at all.
No relevance. Yeah.
That's why I said use it in a sentence to like explain what it was. But yeah, now we're there. So we had the rally, and I met Christian, and it was amazing. I'm really thankful.
Good. It was really good.
You met you and your son and all those amazing, beautiful people who came out. And this year, I hope that those same people that are watching and listening come out again. It'll be different. It'll be bigger, better, faster, stronger.
It was a good turnout, wasn't it, Matt? It was a good turnout.
I think it was beautiful. What was really amazing is so we had rallies in solidarity in other places at the exact same time, which was a big goal of mine. So we had 2 little rallies in the States. They're like, Matt, we thought you were going to be here. I'm like, just kidding. We had a rally in Dublin, which over 100 people went to, and a rally in Australia. So then later I got these people from Australia on the horn. They wanted me to come over to do a rally in Melbourne or Sydney or something in Australia. And they were like, Matt, we couldn't believe how many people you got to come out to Marble Arch in London. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty decent turnout. You know, I'm hopeful for more next year. And they go, Matt, hundreds of thousands of people. And I was like, no, but that's really nice. Wishful thinking. They're like, no, Matt, hundreds of thousands of people were there. And I was like, actually, I was there, you know, maybe a couple thousand max. And they're like, well, you need to learn how to count. And then they told me that I was wrong. So in Australia, they swear that over a couple 100,000 people came to the rally. And even me, who hosted the rally, it was there all day long. Can't tell them otherwise, right? They're like, no, you have to get this app, and the app will actually count the people for you. You must have miscounted. So I missed about 198,000 people. But they have in their head that.
How does the app do that? How does it even do that?
It like does like how many people are right here in this little square footage. If there's 4 people in this little square footage based on the whole square footage of the thing, you know, it does the math, right? But I thought it was beautiful because like usually rumors don't work out in my favor. You know what I mean? Yeah. Usually it's like, oh, we heard you died, Matt, or you know, we heard you got a sex change. There's a rumor on the internet that I used to be a female, right? that I'm a sex changed person. This is what the trolls say. Like, well, Matt used to be a girl, you know, but I can't even corroborate it on ChatGPT, so I don't think it's true. It's not true.
I've called Chris a big girl a few times.
Yeah, more than once. Yeah.
I don't think that beard makes him look like a girl anymore.
Well, he does have a son, so unless the son was adopted or something that, you biologically had that child, right?
It could have been a mistake.
He looks like me as well, so
his other half might look like a bloke. There you go.
But anyways, like what a beautiful rumor for people in Australia to think that we came together and that hundreds of thousands of people came together to stop chemtrails. I think that's great, even though it's not true at all. Yeah. So in that regard, I'm excited for the next rally to see what can happen. I'm memorizing my speech. I've got amazing speakers lined up, and there's so many things that I'm excited and looking forward to. But at the same time, there's this looming circus clown show, which is like American politics that's messing up the whole.
I've noticed what's going on. I've noticed it.
Right? Yeah. I really wish. So I'm gonna just get flight insurance on my ticket and then pray that I'm able to come. But what I can gather is like Europe, for instance, their last delivery of jet fuel comes in like a week. Did you guys hear about this? So April 15th.
I wouldn't be too. I mean, I've got some graphs that show we don't get any fuel from the Gulf. Very small amount of fuel. Most of our fuel comes from over your end and Norway.
Yeah,
but that doesn't make any difference, though, Dom. It's a matter of what they tell us.
I love graphs.
But what they tell us. Well, it's been true for many years where oil comes from. Most of our oil comes from US and Norway.
But that doesn't matter, though, Dom. They can still go. There's no oil.
Oh, of course they can. Of course they can. What I'm trying to say is, it doesn't mean to say there's no oil or no fuel. It means they're telling us there's no fuel, like they would do with water or whatever.
Unfortunately, whether the narrative's true or not, we've got to follow it. We won't have a choice in this one.
Right, which is really fascinating because I really, you know, of course, when anything like this happens, I go deep and I'm start like analyzing it. So, firstly, what a year it's been. Like, wow, they dropped the Epstein files. And then because people were going to be so upset and digging into this forever and demanding arrests, they faked a moon trip on April Fool's, which was a whole mess already.
I've got the video. Go on. Anyway, keep talking while I'm playing it.
and went to war with Iran, like immediately, like seemingly to cover up the fact of the matter that pedos rule the world. And are you going to play the volume? Let's hear what you have to
play the volume. I'll just play this for now. I'll rewind it. Just keep talking. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So as everything started to unravel, I started to try to like sink my teeth into all of it. Like, what is this whole shite show like about, you know? And the green agenda, the net zero agenda 2030, the whole like ULEZ, all that sort of stuff, it wasn't working out for them. People were saying no. And actually they were given choice. Like people could say no, you know, they could stand up and be like, you can shove the New World Order up your arse. And we're not doing your 15-minute cities, and we're going to.
You've been listening to Trevor John, our mate. Oh no, it's the Daz Band, isn't it? Who sung "You Can Stick."
It is the Daz Band, and this coming along, we do have Trevor John this coming solstice rally, 20th June at Marble Arch. We'll have Daz Band and Trevor John. But last year, when Daz Band was singing, and everyone was singing together with him, "You Can Shove the New World Order Up Your Arse," I was like, I was just floored. I was felt so like with my people. I was like, these are my people. This is my tribe. Well, I can't believe I had to travel halfway around the world to find my people, but here they are. And it was just a beautiful. What is this? Who's this couple?
That's one of the pilots.
Oh,
I think. One of the guys who's floating around.
But my point being is this fuel crisis.
How real that looks. How real that looks.
I posted a picture of a tortilla, right? A tortilla. You guys know what that is, right? You don't have a funny word for that over there. So I posted a picture of a tortilla, and I literally jokingly said, check out this amazing high-def image of the moon from Artemis 2. And I put a laughing emoji. Like I thought people would get that it was a joke. I come back the next day. All these people are bickering on my wall. People are defending the imagery. People are like, it's not true. And they're like, no, that looks like this. And some people are laughing and getting the joke, but some people are literally like, wow, isn't God amazing? Like, God bless those astronauts. Like, I don't know if they're bots or what, but there was a whole debate. And it's like, it couldn't look more like a tortilla if it had like guacamole on it and, you know, pico or like freaking salsa. Yeah.
Don't tell me it was a triangle as well.
People are far gone. People are really
look
far gone.
Look how impressive that looks. It's going to come around Earth and then it's going to slingshot around the moon.
And yeah. I have a theory about that one too. I think they made it look so bad and did it on April Fools just to troll us. Like the sheep are asleep. They don't need to put them to sleep even deeper. Like they've got them. But they're worried about us. The real concern is the us, the people in the world that have the eyes to see, right? And so by gaslighting and trolling us like they do, they just distract us. And we take this bait and then we get all angry because the footage is just completely fake and everyone's talking about it like it's real.
Yeah.
And we get really involved emotionally.
Yeah, it triggers us, doesn't it?
Yeah, we get triggered. Meanwhile, like maybe we're supposed to be like, I don't know, setting up ourselves so that we can eat next year. You know what I mean? Like growing a garden or doing all these other things that we could be doing in our community, or even like owning our own frequency so we can get the spiritual downloads because all the planets went direct and all this. What's really interesting about this talk of like space and like people don't want to go there with the space thing, and so you got to really pick your battles, because even though they believe in chemtrails and stuff, you start telling them about the fakeness of it all, and they get really scared and they get this deer in the headlights and they don't want to abandon these things that they believe are true. You know, like the people of the world, they're so scared to really break out of their trance, I've noticed. So what happens when they're stuck in this space is they can't think outside the box. You know, they're stuck in a box. And so their thinking is controlled. The way they perceive the world is controlled. And so I've been really digging into and learning about astrology, because every time I post about astrology and some like really hardcore Christian comes along and says that that's satanic. And I'm like, wait, looking at the stars is satanic. And they're like, yes, Matt, you better pray for your sins. And I'm like, well, you know, God created everything, right? So what's wrong with me looking at the patterns of the stars? So right now, all the planets have gone direct, meaning there's a time when planets are retrograde and they're not going like the same path. So if you start to look at like, what is a planet going retrograde and what is a planet going direct, and given the model that we're actually given, So we're given this model of like going, spinning and lots of movement, a lot of going around this and that's going around us and we're going around it. We're spinning. And if you ever question anything, people say, it's because of the wobble. Don't you know the wobble makes all those things happen? It's like, okay, show me the wobble in the star trails. Like you can do a time lapse of the star trails. Show me the wobble. Oh, it's not showing up tonight. Okay, show me the wobble tomorrow then. Show me the wobble next week. Like give me evidence of the wobble instead of just saying, anyways, so like sometimes Mercury will go retrograde, meaning it's like retracing its steps and it's going backwards in the night sky. And then other planets do the same thing, evidently. They go retrograde, they go backwards, retracing their steps in the night sky. Right now, all the planets have gone direct. And I think that's like a strong energy for us to be in alignment with our path and whatever, get the download codes or something like that. Some spiritual stuff that I don't really understand. But instead of us being centered and grasping that, or even thinking like, oh, look, all these planets go in the same way. And when they go backwards, how does that make sense in this whole, model that I'm giving? Maybe the model I'm being given is fake. But instead we're like mad and we're bickering online with trolls and bots and total knobheads. Like anybody who thinks and wants to argue about this and be like, God bless America, we're going back to the moon, but we're really not going to the moon. And they say, we're going to the moon for the first time. Like even them saying that I think is trolling everybody. They're trolling us. And so they get us in this like frenzy and we start doing podcasts and make the memes and all. And it's like we took the bait. Now we're mad. Now we're mad at our family and our mom won't even talk to us now. And like, it snowballs, right?
Over the moon.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking that it's deeper than we think. And I don't think it's just to put people to sleep. I think it's to piss us off, honestly.
I realized that
you would think though, Chris, after I don't know, 70 years, 60 years, they'd make a cabin a little bit more comfortable, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Where they wouldn't have to, oh, you've knocked that pipe off. Fuck. Yeah.
No, why are all the wires covered up? I noticed though, Matt, the other day that whenever there's war going on or something going on, like when COVID was going on, they did a load of moon stuff, then a load of launches, then, didn't they? And then you think back to the 60s with the race riots and Vietnam, and then they were doing all the moon stuff then as well. It's like they do it when there's something horrific happening for some reason.
Well, not only is it a distraction, but it really makes you have like pride in your country. I mean, if you believe the lie, you're like, wow, this is so nostalgic. And remember when we beat the Russians there and now we're just doing it again. And then the logical people out there, not even like the truth or conspiracy theorists, they're like, how much jet fuel did you just use? How much like rocket fuels did it
take? There's that as well, yeah.
And they're like looking at the price of petrol at the pump. And they're like, this doesn't make any sense right now. They're like, no, we just had to do it for the people, for the children.
And the cabin footprint were about that.
Yeah, right. It's like, okay, like every single thing that you've been preaching for years goes out the window. We don't care about the carbon footprint. And they didn't even go to the moon. Like so many people thought they were actually landing. It's like, no, we're not going to actually do that. Yeah, I'm just waiting for ET.
Even if it's real, right? What have they actually achieved? They're just retracing something that they did 60, 70 years ago, supposedly.
No, Dom, you got it all wrong. They went further out this time. It's the further out any human has ever been into space.
Right.
The
further out, did they?
Yeah. There it is.
When they did the slingshot, it did a bigger circle out.
Got you.
I'm pretty sure that slingshot move as well. I'm pretty sure it was told to us in some film before it was done in real life. I'm sure it was some kind of science fiction story.
Well, Apollo 13, they did that slingshot. That's what they aimed at doing.
Was it?
Isn't it? Where they got all the inside of the cabin and made that into the power units, and like Bia Baracus were there.
I never watched it actually.
Yeah,
never actually.
In fact, I was thinking, have you noticed in the Iran stuff before I forget, no Americans are dying, right? It's like they're the face in the A team. There's nobody died in the A team, did there? And it's like we obliterated everybody. And they've blown up, I don't know how many aircraft, but nobody died in them aircraft. No one. Because it was Hannibal and BA and Owly Mad Murdoch.
Have you seen how many times Trump has like threatened for 48 hours or one more day or whatever? It's been like 8 times he's threatened all these threats to like open the strait or tomorrow you'll be obliterated back to the Stone Ages. He's just like on repeat and no one's even noticing that he's repeating his threats and the threats don't even have anything behind them because the time comes and goes. And
but Matt, I know we just jumped from space to Iran, but the words he's using they're inside. I've never heard a politician, even Hitler, using those words. You know,
well, he uses the
Hitler,
F word in the last one. He says, "Open the effing straight,
open the fucking straight, you mad bastards," or something. You know, that's something I'd say to you.
That's how us plebs talk, not people in apparent power.
but the language is insane. It's worse than anything you've ever heard from a supposed person in government, isn't it? I mean, they're normally snaky, lying bastards, aren't they?
Well, yeah, and why, right? By design, I think. And like over here, we've got this like very firm divide. I mean, I think that the agenda is really ramping up. So we're going to see a lot of things happen at once. So much that our heads are going to be spinning, and our normie friends are going to be coming to us being like, "Is it all a conspiracy?" And we're going to be like, "Yeah, all of it. That one. And they're like, "No, not that one. Not the one that I've fallen in love with, because my alien is now like he's actually in my flat. Like I've given him a room to rent. The alien's not real. He said he can cure my cancer. You know, it's like
no, he's Ukrainian, not an alien.
Yeah, he's Ukrainian. Yeah, that's Zelensky.
Aliens don't smoke fags and nick your beers.
Aliens don't play keyboard with the knackers.
Right. But I have been watching the Trump thing, the Trump saga, and the way he like goes on social media on blast and like puts things out on social media.
Do you know what it's like,
world.
Matt? Do you know when you were younger and you get pissed, or you'd be out with your mates at like at an after party, and we didn't have text then, but it'd be like you've like, I've just texted somebody, you fucking like, and that's what it's like. And he just got pissed. He's just out of his mind on a Saturday. He's like, fucking girl.
He's drunk. We call that drunk dialing over here. Drunk dialing. He's drunk dialing his enemies in the middle of the night, and I don't think anybody's taking him seriously anymore.
But do you think he's actually doing that? Do you think it's him actually doing that? I mean,
no,
it's him. Quantum computing and think tanks, and every time that they do it now, they have like feedback loops, so they see how people react on social media and all these different platforms, and they're like, perfect, we've got these redneck gun-toting like extremists, extreme right. What they want is extremism, which in the States, we don't really have much of that, you know, but in the world, they want to create extremism. So we want an extreme left and extreme right. I guess we do have extreme lefts because people are chopping off their private parts and calling themselves raccoons or whatever. But like at the end of the day, the extreme right has yet to be fully created.
Yeah.
And what they want is the extreme right fighting the extreme left. The extreme left, they still need to get them like militarized, because like the trans aren't very violent, so they need to get them like armed.
We've got G.I. Joe, G.I. Jane,
somehow
G.I. LGBTQ ABC, yeah.
Right. Somehow they'll figure out well, basically it'll be like the robots, because the LGBTQRSTUVWXYZ is going to be like, have respect for the trans humans. You know, just because they have a bionic heart and a bionic brain doesn't mean they don't have a soul. Let's respect them. And then it'll be like RoboCop, and it'll be like, fucking. So eventually they'll get the extremists on the left to be RoboCop, but then the extreme right, they need to be like down that slippery slope of Dumb and Dumber, where they're just like getting dumber and dumber, not Dumb and Dumber, Idiocracy, with Donald Trump. So Trump is like pulling them into stupidity, where they will listen to whatever he says no matter what, do whatever he says no matter what, but also like get dumbed down and like more redneck with him together. And then they'll be on one side of the fence, like completely shaming the other side of the fence, and eventually they'll fight and we'll have a civil war. But it's going to take some serious programming still. Like they're really getting people there. But the people that have no idea why we went to the war versus the people that are like, get her done, they're jihadists, you know what I mean? Like in between, there's like so many normal people being like, what the fuck is going on? But all it takes is like a radical left and a radical right. Like it doesn't matter how many are on their side. There's going to be like 90% in the middle, like sheltering in place. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
But as long as war ensues, then war ensues, and they can break down the country. Which in Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah,
no, I was going to say, I was going to say, Matt, and also they can amplify it like they did with that so-called march on Washington. You know, there were scattered
January 6th thing.
Yeah, amplified. And if they get some right wing, you know, they can really amplify it, can't they? Make it look like they're really
So
taking
long as he's
over.
got a buffalo hat on. If he's got a buffalo horns. And
Go on.
stuff.
The insurgents, the insurgents. People still refer to it as the insurgents, and I'm like, do you not have a
Really?
brain in between your ears? Like, how could anybody have watched that and call it an insurgents and think that we're like needing to react to that wasn't all staged? Like, it looks staged. The reporters are there taking pictures. The guy's in there with an outfit, just acting all extreme. Like, I grew up in DC. You can't just walk into that building. Like, it's just absolute.
I bet you can't even
bollocks.
get close to that building, can you?
No, there's security all over the place.
Oh, that's
Cameras.
a surprise.
Like, there's snipers. There's snipers armed. It's like you're not just walking in through the windows like they did or whatever. Like,
Matt, sorry, I interrupted. You said Handmaid's Tale. Sorry, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
In that film, which is like a lot of predictive programming, there's a very extremist right that has taken over the country. But California has disagreed with the extreme right, and they have seceded. And so the rest of the country can't get the produce, like the food from the agricultural hub of California. And so they're complaining about it. But there's a split, a civil war and a split in the United States, which is what is being staged. Like, it's like General Newsom or Gavin Newsom is the California governor. And like he and Trump are like literally like having sex with each other behind the scenes. I'm sorry. But then in reality, they're like bickering as if they don't know one another, and one's radical left, one's radical right, and they're just going to create this divide so they can break apart. Was that a little vulgar? They're over there patting each other's back. I should say that.
It was just
You can say what you want.
a similar story to that Civil War film as well. A similar kind of setup, wasn't it? That
and you keep mentioning that, and I watched it on the plane.
Yeah,
you're welcome.
I don't. What did you think of it? I mean, it just seemed like it was just showing you.
I was asleep before.
I'll silence that. Well, let's play this Handmaid's Tale while we're
You just
doing
seems like. I remember when Handmaid's Tale were out during lockdown, and I watched an episode, and all the women were wearing leather masks. I remember that. I think I stopped watching it. It got a bit too gory for me. I get a bit squeamish.
Yeah, I haven't seen the series, but
I saw the first series.
The
first series was excellent. Well, I'm saying excellent from a film perspective. But then they're on Handmaid's Tale 25 or something like that now, and
they're making a new series because is it Margaret Atwood who wrote the book? Is that right? And I've never read the book, but funnily enough, I was in a bookshop and I saw that she's brought a biography out, and on the cover is her like that, which I thought was quite odd.
The Civil War movie, I thought it was interesting because a lot of it's in the car and they're like driving through the United States and seeing all the different fallout from how this. What's that?
No, she just had a mask on then. She had a leather mask on.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
But what the movie showed me is how like big the United States is and how like tumultuous and how much turmoil things could unravel once people start to fight, because we are so spread out. And it's like you wouldn't know what was happening in the next state or on the other side of the country if war broke out. Like, it would be all just rumors and like scrambling to find what side you're going to be on and how you're going to keep yourself safe. Another movie to pull up is Rubicon, Rubikon. We were going to do a show about the toxic fog, and so I did a little research just this morning looking into the toxic fog because I wanted to have a little information for you guys. And in 2022, there was a movie called Rubicon that came out. And it's interesting because it's got a lot of fake space stuff in it. So here's the synopsis. Following a catastrophe on Earth, the planet is covered in a toxic fog. The crew in the space station must decide whether they should risk their lives, go home and search for survivors, or stay safe in the station's algae symbiosis system. So basically, they are producing oxygen off of algae, but some like toxic fog took over. I mean, there was a Stephen King movie, The Fog, as well, but this 2022 version of it called Rubicon, it made me really think about the programming, the conditioning, predictive programming, normalization, disclosure, karmic disclosure, all this sort of stuff that comes along with it, and the way that they utilize Hollywood while doing shady things in the real world to bypass karma or to let us know what they're doing while we're doing it, whatever it is, what they're doing while they do it. It's fascinating how they play it out in the mainstream while they like literally do it to us firsthand. And then also while we talk about this, I don't want to miss. There was a fog that hit London in the 50s. You guys know about this? It killed a lot of people.
Yeah, they put it down to smog, didn't they? But I think it wasn't smog. Weren't the same thing.
No, it killed hundreds of people, and it was deemed like this anti-cyclonic weather pattern. That's what is going on right now in the UK again, this anti-cyclonic weather pattern or whatever. But I don't know if they were already in the 1950s. Well, I do know that they were doing experiments back then, and they did do some like really evil stuff in St. Louis in the United States, and a lot of people died during that same time frame. But I'm really curious about that, and we should talk about that and maybe pull up some information on it, because I was shocked to see how many people actually died from the London fog ordeal.
Yeah, I'll try and dig it out.
I know. I remember seeing some footage of people in America and in England saying about that thick fog, and they could waft it with their hand. And I know me, my missus and Nipper were driving somewhere when I think it happened twice, didn't it? 2 years in a row, this fog came up. And we were driving and we drove through it, and it smelled like sulfur. And we all noticed it. We're like, what the hell is that?
Well, we're talking here, right, Chris? The smog caused disruption by reducing visibility, blah, 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 blah. Government reports, medical reports, estimate 4,000 people died as a result of the smog, and 100,000 were made ill by the smog's effect on the human respiratory tract. More recent research suggests that the number of deaths were between 10,000 and 12,000.
What?
Yeah, unreal. That's what I was just showing. 12,000 people died in 5 days. London ran out of coffins in 1952.
Fucking hell, it looks like the group. Why is that not more well known? I never heard of that. Why?
I wonder why. Yeah.
Yeah, right. At the exact same time. So this is 1952. At the exact same time, 1952.
Yeah. Go on.
In the United States, the U.S. did a similar thing in St. Louis. So St. Louis is a little city in Missouri, in the middle of the United States. In the middle of the United States, mind you. Okay, not on like some border town, and nowhere near Russia. Like St. Louis is nowhere near the USSR. But they came in and started spraying the city from planes, from rooftops, and from station wagons. And they tried to target low-income Black communities, right?
I wonder why.
And everyone, right? And everyone was wondering. They asked. They called in like to the news, like, "What's going on?" And the Air Force said, "No, we're just running tests, smoke screen tests, to protect you from an attack from the Russians."
Obviously,
so everyone was like, "Oh, thank you so much." They ran their tests for years, but at the exact same time, this happened in London.
Sorry, hang on a minute. Why did it just do that? Wish it wouldn't just.
So they ran they ran these experiments for years, spraying radioactive substances, and just watched how many kids came into the hospital with respiratory illnesses and how many died. How many people died? It was just like, we're just going to see how many U.S. citizens die from spraying them with radioactive zinc cadmium sulfide. And
that was part of an operation that, and I'm sure now, thinking about it, that this, what you just mentioned here, would have been part of it as well. It was part of an operation from 1943 to 1989, where they ran thousands of sorties across the length and breadth of Britain and across America and Europe. So before the end of the World War II ended, and right up to 1989 when the Cold War ended, obviously they stopped it all then, they were spraying zinc cadmium and weaponized bacteria across the length and breadth of these countries. Yeah. And I've got a video, I've got a file of videos that show, because they did this, Lyme disease was brought out of that area as well, where they was doing the same thing, but dropping ticks that were using radioactive and what else? Nerve agents, things like that in these ticks that were causing all these illnesses. But anyway, but this it was called Operation Cauldron, but that was the main operation, and I think it was what you're talking about there, Matt, was the large area particle trials. And if anybody looks it up, there's actually a Wikipedia page for it where they were spraying off with naval ships from the coast as well to see how far in this gas would go.
Well, that was Operation LAC, Large Area Coverage, and that was
right, Large Area
San
Coverage,
Francisco.
Yeah.
That was out of San Francisco, and it might have been in conjunction with the St. Louis thing, but St. Louis and San Francisco are like a couple thousand miles apart. San Francisco, they sprayed biological contaminants like germs and different things just to see how far it would spread. And how far do they know it spread? Based on people checking themselves into hospitals. It's like okay, well, someone 200 miles over here got sick from the same thing, meaning our research shows that it got that far. It's like, how could you possibly do this to your own people? I mean, it's the only reason the St. Louis thing came up is because a reporter dug in and did freedom of information requests, and then I featured it in my film Franken, which if you haven't seen Franken, please check it out. But I thought that whole cloud thing was unreal. And I have to talk about the ticks thing before I forget. So online, I've got a big followership and people reach out to me, and it's really beautiful, all the back and forth that I get. And recently people have been asking me about ticks falling from the sky. Like, Matt, I just cleaned my pool. I go out and there's all these ticks in it. Like, they're falling from the freaking sky. There's no other way. Right. And then I've got friends who got bit by a tick and can no longer eat red meat. That's a whole thing now. They've been bioengineered to not just give you Lyme disease, but to give you this disease now that makes you completely allergic to red meat. Like,
but not just red meat, any food. It makes you, I've got Lyme disease. It makes you allergic to food in general.
Right. This is a new version. It's not really called Lyme disease. It's just red meat allergy. And
you know, they advertised that, didn't they? They actually advertised that during the 2020s. They were saying, wouldn't it be great to turn people off eating red meat for climate change if we could invent something that turned them off eating red meat? And lo and behold.
Yeah, I saw that. Unreal. Absolutely unreal. Really.
But when you said the toxic fog, I would actually write in one of the last chapters in my book. And there's a company called Kinetic, spelt with a Q at each end instead of a K. And they were just veering off slightly, but it gets me back into fog. They were making RFID chips that could be put into liquid. Okay, exactly. And the reason I'm mentioning that, let me get an image up of this Hitachi. Where is it? I've got it. Yeah, it's there. So this was 2006, the world's thinnest RFID chip. Okay. Then I started looking at some of this fog when you mentioned toxic fog. So this Kinetic came up because they sold out to an American company that were owned by a Swedish company that was owned by the Swedish family that floated it on the NASDAQ, and the NASDAQ's owned by the Wallenbergs. The Wallenbergs owned AstraZeneca, yada, 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 yada. Yeah, fit the two together. And you've got a Swedish company that owns the smallest RFID chips that can be added to liquid, and you've got the company who own the jabs. Yeah, exactly. So you can see where. But anyway, the reason I was saying that, because that reminded me of this stuff, utility fog, with nanobots, and they are. Again, if you remember, well, be careful what I say. Remember the jabs when they were using them, when somebody looked at the jabs and they were sort of like they had these reassembling nanobot things that were assembling constructions within the blood or what have you. And this utility fog is that.
Wow. Yeah, the self-replicating carbon fiber nanotubes that people are talking about. Utility fog?
Utility fog. It's a thing.
What utility? As replacement for seatbelts? What?
It's a hypothetical collection of tiny nanobots that can replicate a physical structure. As such, it is a form of self-configuring modular robotics.
Is that like Iron Man suit?
Well,
a swarm of robots could make a seatbelt for you?
It reminds me, what's that kid's Superhero 6? Them nanobots that were doing all
Hero
that stuff.
6, yeah.
Wow.
And then that led me to this, because one of the shortcuts from that nanotechnology were to grey goo.
Or black goo.
No, it's or black goo. And obviously this was part of it as well, smart dust, which that is what they class as smart dust. Those RFID chips. So quite possibly I'll come to that in a sec. Quite possibly that fog you're talking about that was around over the last couple of years, that red fog, that red dust that came in that fog, Chris.
Yeah.
You woke
And
up.
they said it was from Egypt or somewhere, didn't they? Where did they say it was from?
They said it would come over from the Sahara Desert. It had never happened before, ever. And it's come over about 3 times now.
Yeah.
I remember that, and that did seem like total nonsense. Worth mentioning is there's a fog creation patent that started to come out in 1920s. So that the tech has been there for a while. And then Christian, you did mention that in California there was like this radiation fog. So in December and January of 2025 and 2026, just now, a 400-mile long radiation cloud showed up over California and it wouldn't go away. It was in Central California and it was getting people sick, and people started doing a lot of different videos about it. And then in Michigan and Florida, which is all over the United States, different parts of the United States, people started questioning this fog because there was radiation fog warning in California. Stay inside, don't go out in the fog, it can make you sick. And the official explanation was that this fog was like hitting the ground level and then pulling up like pollutants and pesticides and all this sort of stuff and getting people ill. But then people I'm sorry if I took the mic from you for a second. I'm just going to just get this out. Yeah. Crack on.
Bob's your uncle.
What did you say? It's Bob's your uncle. I love that. If I can work that into my vernacular, it'll be really good. So people started testing the fog. And you can stick a dehumidifier out in it. You can even put a cold glass or a cold pan and the water droplets will couple onto it. And you can get the water tested, right? So people, especially in Florida, they tested it because in Florida, it's very odd to have fog at all. And what was really surprising is this one bacteria that was coming back that was scaring the shit out of people. So also the water samples got sent in to labs. And of course, we've got aluminum, barium, strontium, lead, mercury, sulfur compounds, nitrates, a really, really low pH of 4, which if you get your water somehow from the fog through like condensation droplets or dehumidifier, you can get the pH testing strips. And if you test the pH and it's really, really acidic, like really low pH, that means that there's contaminants in it and worth questioning, what have you. Also, people are saying that they can smell the fog. It smells like a burning plasticky smell or a sulfury smell.
Sulfur. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah. A lot of people are questioning, like, how come the fog smells all weird and how come it's making me sick? But the bacteria that's showing up in it, called Serratia marquescens.
Yeah.
Oh, I did it. Yeah. I did all right. It can cause blood infections, pneumonia, eye infections, respiratory tract infections, wound infections, headaches, sinus problems. Even they're saying that they're animals. They're like people on the farm. When the fog comes in, the animals are acting really weird and crazy and not themselves and whatnot. Brain fog, chest pains. It's noted that most people with a functioning immune system can fight this off pretty well, but worth noting is if you've had the mRNA shot that your immune system could be compromised, is what I read just on the general like PubMed. Like, this is not conspiracy websites I'm getting this information from, that generally speaking, if you're up to date on your boosters, that your immune system may be bogged down by it. Surprise, surprise. And so recommended are people using fulvic minerals or mineralizing with like CMOS or something to get your minerals up to speed, but also colloidal silver. Colloidal silver can help a lot, like a nasal spray or just ingesting it. It can help with your immune defense response. I went on a hike in January. I live in the mountains. And when I went on this hike in January, I went on this hike above the fog. We had the fog every morning, and people were commenting to me, well, how come the fog smells? This is not normally like this or whatever. And they say, oh, it's some inversion where the snow in the mountains is melting rapidly and giving you the stinky fog in the morning. It's like, it made no sense. We're not in an industrial area. It's like, where would the smell be coming from? I hiked to the top of this mountain where I was above the fog, and I could see the chemtrails getting sprayed and coming and laying on top of the fog. So I hiked up through it, hung out above it in the top of this mountain, and hiked back through it. And at the end of my hike, I had this scratchiness in my throat. True story. It spread after a few days to a respiratory infection. And I had a severe respiratory infection for about a month. And like, yeah, I'm the chemtrail guy. So of course I'm going to probably go down this path and be like, maybe it was the chemtrails, but I don't like being like that. I don't like jumping to conclusions. You know what I mean? I like being very grounded and well-researched in my delivery so that other people don't, throw me under the bus. But I did get really sick from a respiratory tract infection, which I think was this contaminant. And I ended up only being able to beat it by drying out my lungs really good. Go ahead.
Well, one thing I'd say is that we've had it where we are now. I don't know if Chris has as well. He's quite a way distance from me. But you normally, around November time, you normally get some fog. But we've had it from November right up until the end of February. More or less, it was the foggiest I've known it in my life for a long period of time. Like 4 or 5 months where we had repetitive days of fog. And we live quite high up as well. So you do live above a lot of it, but it was heavy fog and unusual fog. Now, I also want to say that these things that we're talking about, these bacteria, before the terrain versus germ theory a lot start jumping up and down, we're talking about modified stuff here. And my view is that this modified stuff like that's made at Porton Down or Fort Detrick in the States in these level 4 labs, they're using that as a weapon. That's a totally different idea than any form of bacteria, and also how they're delivering it with chemicals as well to open certain aspects of your system up to allow it in. It's like a Trojan horse. They wrap these things in Trojan horses to allow these things then to do their business, if you like. And,
and we're bogged down from so many angles. I mean, if we didn't have all these things like attacking our immune system, like our air is not supposed to be toxic. Our drinking water, like the water that we bathe in, it shouldn't be, filled with all these toxins. Like our food, all these different levels of beating our systems down, and impacting our terrain to the point that, and then, you get some GMO nonsense like this. I've had people reporting that they go out in the fog and they come inside and they immediately have like influenza symptoms. I've had people also back to the pools, not just ticks falling in their pools, but like they say that there's this weird chemtrail spray, and then once the haze settles and there's a fog coming down, that they have a fallout film on top of their pool, like some little like yellowy, sometimes it's not, but there's definitely some fallout coming from the sprays. And it does seem like that the powers that be are getting more creative and more aggressive,
daring
with what they put out there. You know what I mean? Yeah, daring, exactly, because they've realized they've gotten away with so much. Might as well keep pushing the envelope.
Let me play this video. This is from the 80s or early 90s. I won't play it all because I think it's about 7 minutes long.
Carried out in the southwest. Government documents show much of North and South Devon and parts of Somerset were used for experiments similar to those conducted off the Dorset coast during the 1960s.
An independent inquiry has already been ordered into the Dorset trials to determine whether or not they've affected people's health. In a few minutes, we'll be speaking exclusively to the man in charge of this inquiry. But first, our environment correspondent, Simon Hall, has this special report, which includes film of the trials never previously seen on television.
The germ warfare trials carried out in the 1960s and 70s were highly secret. This, previously unreleased film of the experiments as they happened. Their existence was revealed last year when secret documents were declassified. They were thought to be carried out mainly in Dorset. A spotlight investigation has, though, discovered they were far more widespread than was previously thought, taking in parts of Somerset and much of Devon.
This is the easternmost tip of Torbay. Out there is Lime Bay, and it was there that a ship made a series of passes spraying a gas which contained the germs. Now, the idea was to see how the germs behaved and survived as they passed over land, and so the prevailing wind conditions were chosen so that the germs were blown over here across the coastline and into areas such as South Devon.
There were 6 runs between October 1964 and May 1964.
How interesting is it were in Lyme, which is where Lyme gets its name from. Yeah. Lime Bay, where they're using this germ warfare. But it's not just germs. They say germs, but they're using chemicals as well. It's the zinc, cadmium, and other chemicals within there. I'm not going to play this because it's about 10 minutes long, but it shows that even on mainstream TV going back 20, 30 years, I've got other videos as well where they were finding this stuff in the water, and even one from, I think, the 1940s, and one where they took a load of sheep to a remote island in Scotland and sprayed them with all this toxic water. They tied the sheep up and see how many of them died. Right?
Lovely.
It was a derivative of anthrax they were spraying them with. Which is what they were spraying up and down Britain and America. It was a derivative of anthrax.
What I find so crazy about all these things is they're like, no, we're just testing these things so that, you know, we can use them later. Like if we go to war with, you never hear about them spraying these things in war. It's only on us. Like literally, like, okay, now we're at war. You're going to use all those things that you tested on us? No, we're going to save those for later. It's like, yeah, but we're at war. We're at war now, and you tested it on your own citizens, and people died. And so you claim that you were testing it on us so that you could use it at war. Now we're at war with some people. You're going to use it in the war? No.
And what gets me as well, when
what are you talking about?
Saddam Hussein was basically hung for using chemical weapons, and that guy in Syria was kicked out for using and yet he didn't use it actually on his own people. He used it on the enemy. And they've been doing it for 50 years that they told us about, spraying it on Europe, Britain, and the US, and God knows where else. I've got a video of them doing it in the Caribbean, spraying it. And there's a government released video with steel drums playing, with his plane flying, spraying all this shit out onto this island, and steel drums are playing. Like it's all fun, like it's a Disney film.
And you know very well that there are plenty of deserts.
Yeah.
There's deserts out there. There's islands that are uninhabited. There's plenty of places where the people don't live. They're claiming they just want to see how far these germs travel. It's like, no, you want to see how far they travel and infect people and how much harm they can cause in the people. Like, it's not just to see like how they react in the environment. Otherwise, they would do it in unpopulated areas.
No matter how they try to explain it, Matt, there's no fucking reason to do it, is there?
Right.
They try to explain it all the way, just like when they're trying to bomb other countries. All these explanations, just leave everything alone, leave everyone alone. It'll be fine, you know.
But one bright side is so many people have actually started to, like, I firmly believe that the lockdowns were smelling salt for a lot of the world. So many people that never even wanted to think about the New World Order or how we're being impacted by it all. They started to come onto the fence. A lot of people woke up. Some people are still on the fence and even maybe questioning whether they should get their 20-second jab, but they're on the fence. At least they're on the fence, you know, and something else is going to push them over the fence. Maybe it's me or you. Maybe it will knock them off.
Let me see if it's this one. Let me see if it's this one. It was called Operation Ozone. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Porting down, you know it's porting down.
The Cauldron film shows the new technique which we first tried in 1952 in the Hebrides. We went again to the Hebrides in 1953 while looking for a better site. We'd been in the West Indies on Operation Harness in the winter of 1948 to 49, but it was generally too windy there, and we believed that further north in the Bahamas would be very much better. Operation Ozone was carried out there in 1954. This film is mainly about the differences from the earlier operations and doesn't repeat the detail which I've already given in the Cauldron film, which you should have seen before this one.
I watched the entire film, actually, the fact that you sent me.
Operation Ozone was linked with the UK by Hastings aircraft of the RAF through the Azores and Bermuda. At both these places we were very well looked after by the American air bases. They enabled us to handle toxic material like this, and also the animals in safety and security. The main snag about the airlift was the difficulty of getting a useful load across the long hop from the Azores to Bermuda. And so through Bermuda and on to Nassau.
For blighted!
Spray the bastards.
Take that, you fuckers.
Jerk chicken with zinc cadmium. Nice. But
Fucking
how mad is it? Sorry. Fucking makes me laugh how they played steel drums and spraying people at the same time.
That like nice World War II music.
Yeah.
Singing that song. That guy just talking how he's, planning on poisoning a lot of people. Just like, we were looked after greatly. Not a violent
trying
person.
to find
the nut that
when they sprayed the. Here we go. I mean, these experiments.
The spray working. Not a very good shot this time, as you can see. This is
Doesn't matter, spray another one.
yards off. We actually had many good hits at up to about a mile, the longest range that it was necessary to use. The range of the spray from the pontoon was determined from Ben like compass bearing and radar range. The
Look at all this
radar
fucking
range,
effort
which
and
was
money spent
easily
on this.
accurate enough.
No, but they're talking radar there, Chris. That means they can actually pick that up and see where it's going.
On a radar?
Yeah. Would that mean it's radioactive?
Or just dense enough, yeah.
Yeah, or dense enough, yeah. This is one operation. They're talking about several operations. That was just from a short space of time. I've got bloody loads of videos of that. It fascinated me.
I watched that entire one. You sent me fire though when they did it in Scotland.
I'll try and get it because you've got to see this guy, Matt. You'll laugh your head off.
Where they keep the clean side, don't they? Keep going on about keeping the.
Watch this guy and tell. Yeah, watch this guy. No, I'll do the one in Scotland after this, the Grunyard Island one. But watch this guy.
This film is intended to give you an idea of what Cauldron was like. I'm not going to talk about the trials results, which you can read about in the report, but just try and give you an idea of how we did things. Cauldron was, in effect, an extreme simplification of harness. By using a pontoon as a fixed floating layout, we were able to reduce our requirements from 2 ships and a shore base to a single ship for everything.
Looks like Herman Munster, that fucker.
An essential part of this plan was the very close contact with MRD. The corridor was, so to speak, extended by the aircraft provided by the RAF, which linked the department with the trials site. Here is the pontoon moored in the bay north of Stornoway, and in another rather shaky air shot you can catch a glimpse of Ben Lomond at anchor. The whole idea depended on the use of the spud pierhead pontoon, originally built for Mulberry. I want to show you a few diagrams of the pontoon so that you can get the general idea.
Why do you keep talking about pontoons?
You know what Mulberry was, don't you? Mulberry was the pontoon that they used when they landed in Normandy. And it was a concrete pontoon that it was quite a famous thing that allowed all the troops to get onto the beaches after a couple of days after they'd stormed it. They towed it across the channel.
Oh, it was like a slab onto the beach.
It were two. No, it was like a harbour. It was like a floating harbour.
Like a transportable harbour.
And when they got it there, they sank it. Yeah. It ended up getting destroyed. But what he's basically saying, they've got these pontoons that are spraying gas all over. That one in Scotland, I think that one. But I mean, who are these? I mean, it could be 1 million people nowadays, couldn't it? It could be, I don't know, it could be Bill Gates could be funding that. You know, it could be one of those places that you don't even know about now. How many of these things are going on now as we're speaking?
Mm. Well, no one would have had a clue back then, would they?
Fucking utility fogging. I'll play this in background while we're talking.
When you were talking about the stars doing the weird thing, Matt, do you think all this build-up that we're having, like this crescendo of shite, over the last couple of years,
a crescendo of shite,
crescendo of shite? Do you think it's to cover up an actual, an awakening or something's, spiritual happening with the star system? Do you know what I'm trying to say? And I think they're trying to cover it up, the fact that we are retuning maybe, or we're all getting a download of some kind.
Well, we go through ages in astrology, and we're about to enter into the age of Aquarius, which we have not entered yet. And each age lasts like a couple thousand years. The age of Aquarius is supposed to be like more of us realizing who we are, and a lot of these like old paradigms are supposed to like come crumbling down as we know who we are as like spiritual beings in the spiritual world kind of thing. And so as we get closer to the age of Aquarius, I think that they're pulling out all the stops to numb us and to distract us and to keep us from rising to our true potential. I believe that if they can prevent us from coming into the age of Aquarius bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, then maybe they can control the frequency throughout. And if they can control the frequency throughout the age of Aquarius, the next age is ruled by Capricorn. Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. So the next age, I think it'll be a lot easier for them. So they're just trying to buy themselves a couple thousand years, turn us into robots, and then they can have their heyday afterwards, I believe. But yeah, I do believe that it does seem that as we stay asleep, the astrology maybe like gets heated up and tries to like wake us up or whatever. I do think that there's a play in between. And if you don't believe in this, that's cool. It's all good. We can still be friends. You can still come to the rally 20th June, Marble Arch. Like it's okay that I have theories that are maybe outside of like your realm or whatever. Yeah. But I try to like incorporate everything, like the stars, the moon, the sun. How does it play out? And it's like on certain celestial alignments, all of a sudden we're like bombing another country. And it's like, oh, wait, that's interesting. You know what I mean?
It's just a coincidence, Matt. It's just coincidence.
It seems to keep playing out over and over and
maybe,
over. Like
maybe it's to counteract some natural positive.
I think it is to counteract natural positive things. I do firmly believe it. Like the day that the Iran war officially began was like all the planets were aligned in the sky for the first time in like so many years, and it's not going to happen for another like 100 years or something like that. And people are like, go outside and witness this. It's this alignment and get your chakras aligned or whatever. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. Maybe things are looking up for the world. And then it's like we're going to war. And then the American people are like, well, why? Why are we going to war? And then it's literally like deer in the headlights. Like, well, President Trump, sir, why are we going to war? It's just silent. It's just like, oh, you can't even give us like a lie. Like you're really good at lying. We witnessed that. Can you please just like tell us like you've got to, like they've got the last Tyrannosaurus Rex DNA. You've got to get over there.
Can't you just pull your mask off and?
That's something, like literally people still don't even know. You ask anyone if they're in the know, they're like, yeah, well, Israel made them do it. But besides that, like nobody really knows even why. And that's like it's a pretty big mindfuck for like the people that believe in America. Like they still do, but then it's like, oh, and it breaks down people's psyche, and in a time where we're supposed to be like elevating and gearing up for like an ascension and elevation out of consciousness. I don't think the ascension is like really and it's like for some people, they're like, oh, Matt's so new age, you know what I mean? And how dare he use the word ascension? I think it means a leveling up of consciousness where the frequency of humanity gets higher and we start to come into consciousness and see it in a different way. Maybe we're more telepathic, or maybe we see through the paradigm of the control mechanisms more. It's not like we're all just going to like fly into the sky and be gone. It's just our slow but surely evolution. Slowly but surely we should be evolving. And does that mean
think
that
as
we're
well, Matt, do you think with all these lies that they tell us, right, that obviously the download, like we've spoke about it before, probably that the download in 2020, all the stuff we learned pre-2020, the download in 2020 was huge, wasn't it? Even for us, the learning curve that, and because we were all, and people probably listening as well, we were already absorbing this information anyway. That massive download and the energy it created, it was a very positive thing for me. I know it were a lot of people were pissed off. I found it quite positive, as much as it made me angry sometimes. It was quite positive from a downloading perspective.
Yeah, and I got to download a lot of really good memes too, because when people got upset, the creativity after that
went off the charts, didn't it? Yeah,
the creativity and the awakening was triggered by their darkness, and like that probably doesn't like land very well at their little boardroom think tanks, you know what I mean, or their Bohemian Grove meetings. But it's true, you know, like while they're gathering together, doing their next like World Economic Forum, like trying to plan out the next thing. There's definitely people in the boardroom being like, well, hey, Bill, your whole idea like woke up humanity, and now we're dealing with a much bigger problem. You know, and they're like, well, we're gonna have to take away their ability to travel. Because then they'll be upset, you know, that they'll have that bucket list of going to Venice, and they'll just have to scratch that off, and then they'll be sad enough, and then they'll be controlled. We'll control them in fear because they'll be upset about not being able to go to the Bahamas. It's like we'll deal with that. We're still gonna have our rising consciousness, as much as they want to keep beating us down. It's like in pregnancy, when you have the contractions, they start to get closer and closer, but every time that you do like close up, right? But then the baby is coming. So no matter what, they can try to stop the contractions. And every time there's like some rising consciousness awakening kind of thing, they can do another distraction, another psyop, and all these things. But all they're doing is pushing back a contraction. Like all they're doing is trying to quell something that is coming, no matter what you do. Like that baby's coming. And that baby is like the rising consciousness that's going to help us all see through the lies finally, including the lies in the skies and the lies across the board. The lies in the skies are really huge because as a normie, if you can wake up to the chemtrails, your world should come crumbling down, and you should start to look at other things. You should start to realize that maybe your 9/11 truth or friend might have been right.
9/11, chemtrails, 2020. If you can wake up just one of those things, right? Then or the false flags and things like that. You only need one of those.
But when you talk about a conscious change, Matt, all you have to do is look at old architecture. That was a different set of humans building, and you don't have to look back that. You know, if you look at most town centres in England, Huddersfield. I went to Bristol the other week. The build, you know, when you look past the KFC facade, the buildings are amazing, aren't they? You know, but they have facaded them, aren't they, with KFC, McDonald's, wherever, or put a restaurant there. But the buildings are amazing. They're not getting built today. They're not getting built like that today, are they? So that was a different consciousness who built those buildings, I would say, personally.
And not only that was at a time when them buildings would have taken years to build. Whereas now, if we decide with the technology and things we've got supposedly now, we should be quicker and better at building those.
But we just knock up glass shit. Look at that.
That's what we
look at that postcard that Matt's got of London there with the thingy on it. If you look at the buildings there, I mean, they're all just glass towers, but below them are all the real decent, you know, all there. But all below. When I lived in London 20 odd years ago, the Gherkin there had just been built, and that was the biggest building there. No, the NatWest Tower was there. The NatWest Tower, the one to the left of it there, that was the biggest building.
Now you've got the Shard. I mean, look at the state of them three buildings alone that you've just mentioned: the Shard, the Gherkin, and the NatWest Tower.
Well, is it so they can destroy them? Maybe they learn the lessons that the old ones are a bit difficult to destroy, so they need to build glass shit so they can just wipe it out and start again. I don't mean to be pessimistic there, but you know.
No, that's a good point. I have on my bucket list going to Prague and seeing the clock, the astronomical clock. Have y'all seen any of the astronomical clocks? I know there's a few around.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah, I've been there. It's on the bridge, isn't it? Yeah.
Beautiful. Talk about old world tech, and really, if you wrap your head around that, it's got a lot of truth in it, because how could someone map out something so far in advance when there's all these things going on that are like hard to predict? You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be very easily put onto a clock if it wasn't a cycle that repeats itself in a system that's easy. I'm trying to avoid like being put in a box, but you know what I mean, right? And so regarding the rally, I want to mention that so many people want to sit home. Like, oh, what is me being there going to do? And there's this thing in the truther consciousness, like protests don't matter. They don't do anything. Yeah, that's true in a lot of instances. Like if the Queen passes some law and you're out there protesting it, they're not going to change their minds because of you. That's a fact. Like nobody cares about you coming out to rally some like bill that got placed or something like that. But, or like the war, you know what I mean? Like no one's going to just stop the war because you and 100 people came out and rallied. And it's nice to come together and find like-minded people, but I get what people are saying about protests don't do anything. But this is completely different. This is rallying together to show the world that, for one, we're drawing the line. We're no longer willing to stay silent about this. This is an important topic that we're no longer willing to stay quiet about, and show the world that we are awake. Show the people in Australia that 200,000 people came out last year. Now 300,000. If you didn't catch the beginning of the show, it's a joke. So anyways, by coming out and showing the people that we can rally on this topic and how many people are aware and that we're not nutters, that we're grounded, normal people. And then people that are curious, they come out and they do a live stream on their social media and they meet all these amazing people with all these really cool shirts, really cool signs, grounded people of all walks of life, children, grandmothers, all these different amazing people that aren't what you would think the tinfoil hat nutters are. And you would think that like 5 people would show up to a chemtrail rally because nobody believes that nonsense is what you're thinking if you're like brainwashed. But then you see, wow, look at all these amazing people coming out to support this one cause, coming out to say no to solar geoengineering, to weather warfare. It shows the world that we're not asleep to this agenda, the agenda that's unraveling right before us. And it's not a controlled rally. Like I'm a very, like everything that I do is out in the public. Like judge a tree by its fruits. I've been at this now for 11 years. I've been trying so hard. And the reason why I hold the rallies in London, which I've got this incorporated into my speech, but the real reason is that's where the people live that are awake. Like, believe it or not, the people in the UK are waking up first, and they're leading the charge for the world. There lies the spark. Like,
I don't know. I saw some rednecks in Texas that seem to have woken. What we're talking about, we should flatten the whole of Iraq. Yeah, they sounded really woke. I don't know which trailer park they dragged those out of. But
what was funny last year, if you remember, Matt, just before your rally, I think it was a couple of weeks before when the government actually announced they were going to start spraying the skies. That was weird.
Yeah, hilarious, unreal. A couple of weeks. I believe it was divine timing. I certainly believe it was not divine timing.
That shit's happening a lot on a lot of different fronts. On some of the stuff we present, the research that I do on genealogy, in the papers, like days or weeks before or after, you tend to find that they're releasing the same story that you're going to present, and you're thinking, what the fuck? How the fuck's that happening? You know,
synchronicities abound. The synchronicities have been unreal.
Yeah. No, God, I agree. Yeah, synchronicity is the same with me.
But regarding the rally, I couldn't believe it. As I'm putting together the rally last year in February, March, April, then in April or even May, the UK government is shoving it down everyone's throats. We're going to dim your sun. You're welcome. We're going to start in 2 weeks. We're going to spend 66 million US or 50 million pounds. Never before had it come out of the realm of conspiracy. Never before had they been open about it, open about the spraying. So then they came out and were open about it. And already I had this protest together that I was putting together for people, and everybody that wanted to come reject it and protest the notion, they came, and it was already there, and it was beautifully aligned. And I pray that everyone can come out again this year and bring more people, bring your friends and families, and show the world that we're not taking it anymore. And in gathering together, we can find new resources, new information, find our tribe, all those sorts of things. Like, other rallies aren't the same as, like, these people are awake to chemtrails and willing to come out and do something about it. That's a very unique sliver of the pie of the world, and those are your people. So it's time to come out and find our people and exchange information and make some friends. When I went out in the crowd and I was meeting people last year and passing out flyers and shaking people's hands, I was like, did you make some friends? Did you meet some people? And all of them was like, I've got a whole list of new friends. I'm so excited about the different blokes and whatnot. What's a woman? Is a bloke just a guy?
Yeah, Dom, show Matt those photos I took. I took these in my back garden yesterday. Yesterday, Matt.
That one's Jacko.
Yeah.
That's Jacko's.
That's
yeah, that's Jacko.
Look at these. These look like there were 4 jets racing across the sky in a line. Look, that's my back garden.
Look at that one. They're all going to the same place at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? They're all going the same direction at the same time. Like, let's just forget about the lines in the skies. Let's just forget about the lines. When you're at the airport,
look how the sun's blocked out.
Yeah, it's unreal. But when you're at the airport, the planes take off and they go in the direction that they're going. They don't all go lined up like that together. Like
there's more than that over the other side to this side.
People can't break out of their paradigm, out of their conditioning. They've gotten
also,
so
Matt, right?
under a spell. Go ahead.
When we were younger, you didn't see that. Not the amount of that. You saw chemtrails, but I used to watch them. I used to, it was something I was interested in because when you're young, in like say in the 80s, you'd never been on a plane when you were a kid.
Well,
it was a new thing.
I remember
jet travel.
Your mate Jamie, I've mentioned this before. When I was really little, and he was a bit older than me, I can't remember how high, but I remember watching planes with chemtrails, and he was saying how high they got to be for the water to evaporate. So I remember watching for them, and then we'd be like, "Oh, there's one. It's X amount of height because it's got the vapor trails coming off it." But these are they have them coming off, and when they're coming off the ground, don't they?
But these don't. They don't. Obviously, you know this, but these spread out, and then when he pointed to people, go, "Oh yeah, that's strange, isn't it?"
Well, that's
then move on and watch some daytime television.
Some dissipation over the sun. But imagine when the rest of them fall, they'll just block that sun out totally.
But also those clouds at top that are blocking the sun over, right?
But they're other sprays there.
No, but they look like
they are the dissipated sprays. It's what's already gone.
I know that. But what I mean is that the shape of them look like shredded wheats floating around.
Yeah,
they're like strings floating around.
They've got a structure to them, haven't they? They've got a strange square structure to them.
Yeah, and I've seen
got the other ones.
Those things. I didn't download them all, Chris. I had that much.
They're all very similar to that anyway. That's about as good as it gets. But I took some video as well.
Let me have a look.
Great shots. Anybody who's on the fence and doesn't know what to think or believe about the chemtrails, I encourage you to watch the movie Franken Skies. I encourage you to look up at the sky every day, but also go to the mainstream. Go to the mainstream media. Look up geoengineering, solar geoengineering, and come to realize that the governments do say that they plan on or are spraying particulates in the atmosphere to slow down global warming and dim the sun. Do your research and find out what that would look like. What would that look like if it happened? Then go look at your sky. Then go look at your sky right now. Right. Go outside and look up. When they're doing it, it's obvious, and it is what it would look like when they would do it. So if it looks like what it would look like when they do it, maybe they're already doing it. That's it.
But what gets me when you're talking to people about this stuff, but the strange thing is, I am getting more people asking me now, whereas 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, especially pre-2020, people, as Christian used to say, used to moonwalk away from me because they knew I was just going to go into my thing. And but now they're actually asking me, especially, I'd say more since the Epstein files, to be fair. I think that has probably blown the bubble on a lot of these people's heroes, knowing, I mean, there's one thing you can get over is whether the buildings were brought down by a supposed plane that's never happened before or some exotic weaponry. I can understand the disconnect there, right? But when your favorite star's been on Epstein's island with underage children, you can't really get away from that one, can you?
Well, you could say it's AI. There's been rumors that it's all like nobody knows what to think or believe anymore because of AI.
Yeah.
So there is that little bit that who knows? It could just be AI.
We should have added that into that list of this year, shouldn't we? I know it's longer than this show. But AI, since I'd say in the last 12 months, it's really since we last spoke, probably everything's AI now. And you know, so you've got the Epstein files, you've got Iran, you've got that nonsense space thing, you've got AI, you've still got the weather modification, all the other shite, wokeism, all the shite going on. It's no wonder that people can't concentrate on anything outside their normal day, if you call it normal.
No, they're under bombardment, constant bombardment, and their discernment tools have been stripped away from them because they're used to their eyes. They're used to using their eyes, not their gut intuition. Like they never needed that. Like they never needed to really question things, or question authority, or question, you know, themselves or anything like that. So they always just had their eyes, and what you see is what you get. But now the eyes can be very deceiving with AI, especially when there's like AI war stuff or AI, you know, you name it. Was the Epstein thing AI or whatever, you know, like was the moon trip AI? Who knows? And then they just get pushed into a corner where they'll just take authority as the truth and instead of truth as authority. Like they have nowhere else to fall back on except for their reliance on like the powers that be to tell them how to think, how to feel, what to think, what to see, what to feel, all those things, because their proper discernment and cultivated intuition, which they should have been working on this whole time, especially during 2020, it's garbage. They don't have it. So then they have to rely on someone else to tell them what to think.
Are you getting the same thing, Matt? Are you getting people coming up to you now since 2020 or since the Epstein files, who like family and friends, people who used to call you mad, that Matt's off his bollocks for thinking that way type of thing, you know what I mean?
Yes. Before, like a few years ago, it would only be online. Now I go to the grocery store and there's like really nice old ladies approaching me at the grocery store almost every day saying, I follow your work and I'm so thankful for what you do and how you do it. I've even got a local troll, like in my local community, who puts up pictures of me, right? Pictures of my face, and says that I'm an ICE agent and that I'm a neo-Nazi. I'm a neo-Nazi ICE agent. And that chemtrails aren't real and that I'm wasting my time and all this sort of stuff. But I've got a whole local slander campaign, which feels really good because it's balanced. If it was just that, I'd be like, what the fuck? But it's like, but because it's both sides, I know that he's just reacting to me getting the love that I deserve. And probably he's paid to do what he does or whatever.
I'm going to say, sounds
a bit agent. Right? Yeah. But also, don't you think the Trump stuff where he has actually tripped into a little bit of the conspiracy, like, climate change is nonsense and let's get rid of wokeism. We me and Chris call them fringe magnets, where they've drawn in that fringe of people who go, Trump's he's into the stuff we're into.
Well, he was the ultimate one, to be fair, wasn't it? Yeah, he dragged a lot of people with him.
With Q and all this other nonsense.
Yeah, in a million different angles, actually.
Especially the trans agenda. So in the U.S., by design, in the U.S., we've got the trans agenda. They're coming for your kids. Your kids are going to be wearing tails, cut off their private parts. And where I live on the West Coast, it's scary that like the public education systems can basically tell the kids what to do. My friend, her daughter was going through puberty, and the boys at school were harassing her and grabbing her breasts. So she went to the administrators. You know what the administrator said? Why don't you remove your breasts? Then you won't have to deal with that problem anymore. And then she told her mom pulled her from that school, took her to a different school. She gets into that school the first day. What are your pronouns and what are the things that you want to hide from your parents? Because we have this bit of our school that you can hide. So what's your name that you want to go by at school that you're not going to tell your parents? It can be like an opposite sex or whatever. They're grooming these kids, right? And so the West Coast of the United States is like grooming the kids. And it's like, oh, but they have rights too. And the 6-year-old can be whatever it wants. It's like, no, it can't. No, it cannot be. It's not even okay. It's like, you're the parent. The 6-year-old doesn't get to make decisions about
6-year-olds don't know. They don't fucking know.
They don't know anything. So Trump was able to come out and be like, we're not letting that happen. And so many people were like, oh, finally a breath of fresh air. This is the guy who I want to vote for. You know what I mean? And so they've got these people on board. And then, the psyops were just like, once people were horse blinders and in love with Trump based on certain ideologies, then immediately it was like, okay, we're going to stage him getting shot in the ear or whatever, and it's going to be totally freaking fake. But those people will be just like furthered in their trance because this is their hero, and no one's going to take that away from them. And then Charlie Kirk, and then and now it's like now it's like fast forward. You know how like you fast forward?
Yeah.
Like, it's like that. It's like now we're just like next one, and people are just like.
But like the jib jab, Matt. They're too ashamed to denounce it, then, aren't they? To say, actually, I made a mistake. There, people are so stubborn and set in their ways they can't actually say, hang on a minute. Now he's doing this. I've got nothing. Like with the jib jab, people are too ashamed to say I made a mistake. I think.
Well, you've already gone on social media and put yourself like you put Trump in your family photo already, and you're like, I've adopted him, and no, people literally say Trump is Jesus, or no, like one of the people in the White House said that Trump is Jesus and bombing Iran for God. Did you see that one?
Yeah,
that Trump is Jesus and doing this because God told him to. And there's people out there that are like, yeah, Trump is the second coming of Christ. It's like, whoa. But yeah, no, now that they've said that publicly, like, and then he could literally wear horns and people would be like, no, he's Jesus. He's just showing us both sides or whatever. You know, till they
he probably does wear horns under that mask.
Yeah, don't be so, what is it? What's the word? Don't be so disrespectful to people with horns.
Don't be so judgmental, yeah. I'm trying to find that Peter Thiel thing, you know, that vampire thing, Chris. I don't know whether Matt's seen this.
What, when Peter Thiel said it was in the paper saying he's not a vampire? When did you ever see that, Matt? Where they have to print something in a newspaper saying,
did you see where our vice president came out? Our vice president, whatever his name is, came out and said, I think it's Pence. Either way, he came out and said,
JD Vance. Yeah.
Did you see that he told everyone aliens are demons?
Right.
Did you catch that headline?
No.
He came out publicly and said, well, I think aliens are demons, which I also do think aliens are demons too, right? But he's like, he's given us some information. Like he's telling us the truth. And then a little bit later down the line, we're going to encounter these things. And we've been told the truth by our administration. So whatever happens afterwards, like we fall for it, hook, line, and sinker. It's our fault. We got told the truth. You know?
Have you noticed how all these guys, it's something we spoke about. I was around, that's what I want to bring up as well. I was around a lot of bodybuilders. I was a bodybuilder myself. A lot of them took steroids. And a lot of the administration now look like they're all on TRT, testosterone replacement treatment, or of some kind of drug that boosts their hyper-aggressiveness up, let's just say. Even Robert Kennedy, you know, they're on something. But, Peter Thiel, the guy who's going to save us, Palantir, etc. Billionaire Trump supporter Peter Thiel denies being a vampire. Don't you get asked that question? Don't you get asked that question?
Not yet, not at all. And I wouldn't even deny it. I mean, that's just insanity. Like who? I'd like to hear how he says it if it's like a double negative. You know what I mean?
No. The reason is because he gets blood transfusions from a 16-year-old boy, him and his husband.
Oh.
So
as you do when you're a normal human being.
Every 3 months or something like that, they do. Where's that company name now? Here we go. Ambrosia, the startup harvesting the blood of the young.
Wow.
I mean, This is 8-year-old. Is this? I mean, it's insane, isn't it? What?
It's a bit of a bloodsucker.
These are the people that all this technology. That's that mad bastard. Can you remember that video I played last week, Chris, of that what we call Carp, who said this was Palantir's his business partner, saying, and occasionally we kill people. Right, what the fuck? Rather worrying.
Just ask Matt something. For my sins, I watched a bit of the new Daredevil series on Disney, because I'm an old comic book reader, and I quite like Daredevil. But I remember last time they've done 2 series on Disney Channel, and the last one there was. Do you remember I was talking about blackouts? Saying I think there's going to be a blackout of some kind, and then there was a blackout in Spain because it was all about. They basically had Kingpin as like a Trump kind of character. I think he was wearing a blue hat instead of the red hat. But I watched one episode of the new series. And they had a boat that had sunk in the harbour, and it was stopping goods getting that he was responsible for, and it was stopping goods getting into the city. And I thought, what? And also,
another coincidence, Chris.
He's created up a special task force, right, hunting down vigilantes, and they're basically ICE. Basically, it's just fucking weird. I mean, and like we said before, Dom, they must plan these films years in advance, and all of a sudden there's a boat sank. And
well, Chris, there's a process, isn't there? Right, you get a screenplay or a script written or whatever written. Then they've got to go get finance. Then they've got to go find a studio. It's all these things that process there. You've heard stories that we've had this film for 10 years before we even thought about it, and it's been rewritten 25 times by such and such a writer, and Stallone were going to play lead character, but now it's Jim Carrey.
I'm sure a TV series is a bit quicker, but still, the fact. But stopping produce getting into New York, it's just too close, isn't it? And then these ICE agents wandering around beating people up, being over violent with people
for no reason. I mean, what it Mike was saying, a lot of these ultra policing, well, across Europe, we saw it over here during lockdown.
Israel,
trend by IDF, yeah, or in Israel. Nice. This picture here, Matt, going back to your transhuman thing. That's a lady called Sarah Gilbert. Gilbert. I think.
Which one?
Scottish lady. But that is a synth of her. She's made a robot of herself, which obviously I think robot's better looking than her. To be fair, but,
she looks about 14.
No, she isn't. She owned that thing with that Geordie. What would he call? Imu did D-Wave.
All right.
She was part of that and another company. Now they've set up, and basically I've got a video. I haven't cut it down enough to play it on here because it's too long to play the whole lot on here. I need to do some editing on it. But the video was all about robots having rights.
Here it comes.
That is what iRobot was. Again, going back to future programming, Chris. That was. We need to do this fucking film thing, guys.
Yes, let's do it.
We said that since the first one we ever did.
All right. Right. We'll have the conversation when we finish. How we're going to do it? How we're going to set it up? I've got a couple of ideas about stuff that I've started working on that probably fit into this kind of thing. And we could do it live on a presentation on here. I think it'd be a good one to do because Jen, you go off on different tangents and you remember stuff you've forgotten about and what have you. But yeah. All right then. Should we call that a day?
Really quick, I just in the studio chat, can you see the link I just sent you? Worth mentioning about this. So I believe the last time we did a show, and then we can wrap up and thank you so much.
Yeah.
So last time we did a show, we were talking about this like nonprofit called Make Sunsets, and it's just like this random startup company that you can donate.
Yeah, I do remember.
You can press a button and donate some money, and they'll go up in the sky in a balloon and just spray.
Yeah. I think when it sent a balloon up and
they sent a balloon up and they'll spray in the sky and make the sunset more orange and also deflect light back into space and do solar geoengineering because that's supposedly like an okay thing. Like I never saw like the research where this was actually approved or the laws saying that it was okay or anything like that. But evidently like private companies are now jumping in. So I get these like updates in my email every time these words are used, and now they're like thrown around all the time. Solar geoengineering is like 20 times a day. It's talked about in all these different articles. So this new startup is blocking the sun. Well, do you see the private chat in our little StreamYard thing right there with the link I just sent? So that was Make Sunsets. There was a company called Make Sunsets. Now there's other companies coming up. So it's not just this one company. So all these different private companies are coming in without any like transparency or scrutiny or laws in place or governance or anything. Private companies are blocking the sun around the world. So this one in particular is just another. It's called Stardust, and it's just another private company that came out of the blue, and they say that they need to, it says, don't even get conspiracy theorists started. an American Israeli company planning to build solar reflecting systems has enough fans. I guess it's using fans. I don't even know. I didn't read all of it, but they're spending $60 million in 2025 to get it off the ground. So they're dimming the sun with some weird tech called stardust. And they claim that they're going to save us from, global warming, climate change, bollocks nonsense. But it's like, it's just more like, you can't even blame a government now. There's different private companies popping up to block our sun. And the public, the people have become so numbed down and pacified and scared that they're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, let's get the sunblocks. Yeah,
yeah, but they're doing it responsibly, at least.
Right.
For centuries, for thousands of years, for thousands of years, they've been praising the sun to bring life to Earth, and now they want to block it. These satanistic bastards.
Makes no sense. And so, for the love of life and all that is, come to the rally June 20th, please. 20th June, Marble Arch. I hope to see everyone there. This is our opportunity to show the world that we care about things like this. And it's really important and it matters. And we'll have amazing speakers and you'll meet your tribe and you'll meet me. And maybe I'll give you a t-shirt or a DVD or a button, but please come. I'm coming from the West Coast of the United States. If you live in the UK, I hope that you can at least save the date, tell some friends, try to make it. 20th June, Marble Arch, 2 p.m. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be there, Matt.
Yay.
I'll try and get there this year.
That'd be so great, Dom.
Then we went to a pub afterwards. It's nice.
Yeah, I tell you what, Matt. When we do our live, if you're around, it'd be good if you could come to ours. I don't know how long you're over for, but when you meet people there, it reminds me of that scene in Da Vinci Code right at the end where they're in the church and I hate Tom Hanks, but he comes up with that lady, and there's all these people come in like sentinels, and they appear from nowhere and come in. And they're all part of the same group that's protecting things. That's what it feels like. It feels that type of energy when you don't know a lot of these people. You don't know them from you they're not Bob's your uncle. But yeah,
but we're all family. We're family in truth, and the time for us to come together is now. Like there's no better time than now. And because we're family in truth, we can see the writing on the wall. We can see the future. We can see the present. And we're here to fight for the present, not just the future. Like we're here to show the world that we see what's going on and to help wake everyone else up, but also to show them that we're not going to stand for it, which is so important.
And I think when you put that message out there, it's got to change something, hasn't it? It does change something. They don't like that rock lifting and the light shining on it.
No, they don't.
Anyway, okay, everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. I think there's been about 400 people in the chat, roughly.
Great.
Yeah, been quite lively as well. I can't keep up with that chat when we're talking, it's just going up and down too quick for my eyes to follow. I don't know about you guys. Can you see it?
I don't have it on fact because I just get distracted.
yeah. Good idea.
Staring at it,
yeah. Okay. Stay there, guys, and I'll talk to you after we play the theme tune with all them demented seals banging pots and again. Thanks, Matt, for joining us again. It's great to catch up.
Cheers, Matt.
Stay where you are,
guys.
Matt, and we'll see you in a sec. I'll just put you back in green room.
See you, everyone.